पाखंड सारे नष्ट हुए, दुष्ट जन सिंह की ये गर्जना से भस्म हुए। धूर्त सब धड़ से होगा सर अलग, टुकड़े होंगे अतड़ियों के। हरि हुए उग्र, रे हरि हुए रुद्र। युद्ध घोर छिड़ गया है, जंग एक ठनी, अस्त्र शस्त्र दंत नख है भौह अब तनी। चल पड़े तो मर गए जितने भी असुर थे यहाँ, बह रही धरा पे लाल रक्त की नदी 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 नदी। नवः रुद्र रूपम, नवः पुत्र रूपम, नवः रुद्र रूपम, नवः पुत्र रूपम। जय 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 नरसिंह जय।
श्रीनरसिंहकवचं ध्यायेत् लक्ष्मीपतिं नारसिंहं विभूतिम् सिंहासनस्थं सुरसिद्धसंसिद्धिं सिंहमुखं दैत्यनिशाचरान्तकम् भक्तानां भयाहरं त्रिभुवननाथम् ॐ श्रीनरसिंहम् उज्ज्वलितज्वालदेव्यः रक्षतु मां सर्वतः सर्वदैव पूर्वे प्रहरादवल्लभा शूरो जयति दक्षिणे भक्तप्रवरं मदपोतु पश्चिमे चतुर्भुज करवालधारी उत्तरस्यां वै नमः करुणाकराय ऊर्गवीरण्यकशिपुं हतवान् प्रभो अधो न सिन्धे सततं मम रक्षतु शिरो मे सिंहाय विकटाय पातु ललाटे च रक्तमाल्यभूषणः नेत्रे श्वेतज्वालधारी महावीरः श्रवणे सिंहनादो मम रक्षतु न सम्पातु हिरण्यसमर्दकाय वदनं नारसिंह सदा मङ्गलाय जिह्वां योगानन्दखदेतदंष्टुरा कण्ठे पातु प्रह्लादानन्ददातार भुजौ चक्रधीरः खड्गविशालधारी वक्षः पातु महालक्ष्मीपति नाभिं च पातु नरहर सदैव कटिं मे करुणासिन्धुः समर्थः जङ्घे पातु महावीरवेषः गुल्फो पातु विश्वरूपधारी पादोस्किराय श्रीनरसिंहदेवः शरणागतं मे पातु हरिरनन्दः सर्वरोगान् शमयतु श्रीनरसिंह दुःस्वप्नदारिद्र्यमपि हरतु दुःखं मोहं विघ्नं विहरतु मे सदा भक्त्या श्रीनरसिंहं भजे फलश्रुते श्रीनरसिंहकवचं पठेत् सततं भक्तियुक्तो नरः सर्वदा मङ्गलम् सर्वरक्षां करोति प्रसन्नो विभुः देवभीतिं हरेदाखिलं त्वं शुभम्
नमस्तेस्तु महामाये श्रीपीठे सुरपूजिते शङ्खचक्रगदाहस्ते महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गरुडारूढे कोलासुरभयङ्करी सर्वपापहरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तुते सर्वज्ञे सर्ववरदे सर्वदुष्टभयङ्करी सर्वदुःखहरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते सिद्धिबुद्धिप्रदे देवी भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदायिनी मन्त्रमूर्ते सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते आद्यन्तरहिते देवी आद्यशक्ति महेश्वरी योगजे योगसम्भूते महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते स्थूलसूक्ष्ममहारौद्रे महाशक्ति महोदरे महापापहरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते पद्मासनस्थिते देवी परब्रह्मस्वरूपिणी परमेशी जगन्मात महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते श्वेताम्बरधरे देवी नानालङ्कारभूषिते जगत्स्थिते जगन्मात महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते
Okay, 1 second actually. 1 second. Okay. Okay. What's up? Turn that down. Okay. Hello. We've got so many shaligrams. I thought I'd do a Shaligram Zone. Welcome to the Shaligram Zone. Precursor, or prerequisite, I guess. I know what I'm talking about in general. Or watch Underground Science, the documentary Riding the Vortex. It's in the description. Otherwise, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Even then, you'll probably be like, what the fuck? But at least you'll have the introduction of that. Okay, so now that you know that ammonites are not fossils and are etched by current flows, we're going to spend the rest of this episode looking at some examples. New ones. Last I looked through, I've only done 5 Shaligram zones. It's been a lot of earthquake focus since, interestingly, since Kamchatka began. Let's see, speaking of Kansas. Okay, let's not get distracted, but I looked through. The last time I talked about Rudraksh Gurus was up to here. And then last time I talked about this one was up to here. So we've got a good starting point. I don't know about this one, but we can go through some of these. So I might as well just click through some of these. I'll probably be quick because there's so many, but I'll certainly stop on important details, ones that grab my attention. Okay, let's start there. So this one's more standard. It does have striations there. Striations there. Like Pretty peculiar. Sharp detail there. Eroded openings around it. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Little pore there. Nothing out of the ordinary. Next. No offense, love you. This one's way cooler in terms of the striations. I love it when the striations are really defined. They go this way, they go this way, they go this way, they go this way, this way. Oh my god. It's probably a round and across. Round and across. Where the across probably goes atop the around, but the around isn't really applying pressure to the center of the eddy. It's avoiding this area, and so the cross current here can actually etch. Maybe just a thought. As well as probably go into the stone here, divide for some reason. Like anything that's not going straight across that's getting caught in the eddy is getting shoved down and like pushed up. Maybe if it's related to those striations that these patterns are here. So cool. This opening, like the chakras look very much like right here. Like this structure looks a lot like what's happening here. Like it was producing, maybe this was the initial chakra and then it got into the stone like back this way and then wrapped like in around this center and just left this as like a lobe. While like retaining the initial like ribs up here and the general contour, the boundary over here, that could have been a chakra. So this has a recessive chakra and a dominant chakras. Recessive chakras, dominant chakras. Another one with dominant chakras, recessive chakra, where it goes down, over, up. So like a shot, and then here, up, over, down. Not at the chakra, but more centered like here, I guess, where it goes down. Even though it extends over this way, it's kind of sloped over that way, or it's more abruptly down, relatively there at this point. So it was also producing recessive chakras. Here, possibly there too, but way more recessive. And then etching in here anomalously. Like, not normal, staggered upward, both top and bottom. Narrowing. So cool. Okay. Not much in the way of striations. This has some features. Rib, so a chamber of an ammonite, like it eddied this way. Rib, or not rib, a chamber boundary. Chamber boundary, chamber boundary, chamber boundary. Where it's kind of creating like around it, which it tends to do at times. I'll just show an example, but it's you would know what I'm talking about maybe if you saw my documentary, so I'll just assume you saw it and know what I'm talking about. Although I didn't put extensive attention to it, I did discuss it enough. Although you may not know what I'm talking about even so, sorry about that. Chakras, really recessive, lobe. Just kind of eroding into the stone, stripping away the shale, leaving behind coarser grain materials because it's opening pores, which then is allowing for the current flows that are opening the pores to flow. So it struggles to erode as well. The more, I mean, it does, but in this case, it wasn't strong enough of an eddy. Whatever was happening was recessive, I guess, to the other one over here, which was kind of holding it from entering. Another one with kind of chakra thing going on in the shape like that. Way less recessive, or way more recessive, where it's not really clear like the others were. There's also maybe a little bit of a pillar in there. That's not necessarily elsewhere, like on this side. That's odd. The striations seem related. Some errant features, a trident. Cool. I'm not sure how to relate that to an ammonite. So, like, a single lobe? Like the chakra's more over here and a lobe out this way, I guess. That wasn't really eroding further. Maybe extending a bit there with other features beyond. Okay, let's not get caught up on the more basic ones. Another cool one with the face. I love it when there's so many with this face, not just any face, like, but the eyeballs, and then the mouth. It's even got like the little things that are drawn at the end of the mouth or something when drawing a. Then chakra here, like lobe out this way, but recessive, where this is the dominant. Okay, there's definitely really cool ones that have way more going on worth getting to, so let's not get caught up on the more basic ones. This does have some like anomalous erosions. Like it doesn't really make sense for a fossil, a seashell stuck in a matrix, to tend to create similar features, like not where it should be. Interesting, like it's cutting underneath it, but not. It was also here, but it's began to cut underneath it there. A belt going around there, but the other striations are not like fully with it. Okay. Again, chambers, like a chamber. Maybe a chamber, like kind of chamber type stuff, where it's creating, and then again, like the cap, the node on the top, and then an ammonite around it, where it's just eroding the matrix, where this would be like this. Like this is this is just eroded matrix. It's not really different than just matrix, where the interior is more. Thanks, man. I like your name. I do need to arm wrestle. I mean, train just generally, physically, certainly. But this one has like anomalous ribs. Anyway, not to get distracted. It's doing that, where it's making an ammonite shape, but it's just eroded into it. This is the dominant one that actually was able to form. Essentially, if the dominant one could have grown to a larger size, a larger eddy, it would have eroded further to shape this. We even kind of see like teeth and boundaries, like this kind of thing happening. Just subtle. Just being eroded into the stone. Okay, next. This one's pretty cool. Some chakra lobe, and then chakra lobe, where it's chaining them, and then here chakra lobe, again, and then kind of again and again. In a strange pattern that's kind of abnormal, suggestive that there's like something about the currents that are not typical. Wrapping off here. Not many photos. But let's move on from that one. Not many photos. This one's got a video. Sweet. The shape. It's so mathematical and not a fossil. It is eroded by pressures, paths of least resistance. Everything about it is galactic and incredible. It is not a seashell fossilized, but it is a matrix shaped and eroded and differentiated by water flows, to the point where every detail is a product of the water flows, including the ammonites. Which, when just shapes like this happen, it just kind of exemplifies it. I know, like, doubters don't find it persuasive, but it's like, dude, look at the fucking thing. It's not normal. High precision. Yeah. I mean, I've looked at it, but the thing is the dude, Ben, never... Anyone who, like, doesn't acknowledge my research when I reach out to them, I just stop paying attention to them. I'm like, okay, so this is like a one-way thing. Not interested. And I stop listening to them purposely. I just like say, okay, you don't matter, I got other shit to look at. So I haven't really looked thoroughly at them. I'm like, yeah, that's persuasive that they're high precision, and modern science is not acknowledging that, like, they did something to do this that we don't even understand. But like, they're not really getting to it, I don't think. The people analyzing them, like, I already accepted what they're trying to prove, so I don't really care beyond that, unless they can, like, I'm sure there's details that I would benefit from looking at. I just I know that there's like a positive and negative, like there's two coiled together on the faces, which is really cool, which is in and of itself like proof. It's like there's more to this for sure, but they were probably done with like true understanding of how currents flow, which is one of the benefits of these stones, because they really show what current can do when it flows. Okay, I've missed a feature on that one that had like a slice in it I didn't really look at very closely. Pretty common to some surface erosion, again, kind of like fleshing out the details of an ammonite, but not substantially. Possibly another ammonite forming up in the top area, or maybe just like a current on the surface that got into it. It's hard to say in the images. looks like pyrite, which would suggest an eddy of some sort, but let's just move on. There's many. Little drill hole there. Pretty standard. Like the shape of the stone is like regular, I guess. Like it has sides. Although it's quite rounded, but it still has sides. Like especially here. Which does happen in shaligrams a lot, where there'll be like an ammonite on the corners. This one does not really have that. It looks like maybe one was forming over there. Yeah, I don't think that's the same one. And it was taking multiple paths where it drills in, like it tries to go into the stone or come out of, depending. And goes back. When it comes out, it goes back in. But sometimes it doesn't go in at the same place. It like moves to a more stable and actually functional inlet. This one's quite galactic. It's doing the thing where it like holds it in fingers. The nucleus, this little common feature in shaligrams to just hold this nucleus. Like a smaller ammonite chunk that the larger matrix holds between its fingers, while holding the chunk of the ammonite, but not the whole, because the center between the outer portion and inner portion is gone and eroded away. Essentially because there's a inward pressure that runs into resistance around there, and then an outward pressure that runs into resistance around the larger masses. And in the center, it manages to actually erode away the material. Okay, not many super exciting there. Where were we? Was that? Okay, that was it. Okay. This one's cool. This one is definitely cooler than it looks, if I remember. They start getting cooler now. Still pretty standard, but I just skip these ones, even though sometimes they have cool features. It's hard to tell from the photos. That's a cool one. Oh shit. Just opening tabs. Do I think these would benefit plant growth? I don't know, honestly. I'm not even sure they are beneficial, you know. I wonder if they're like super high energy, almost like radioactivity in like a different way, because essentially they're fractals. It's like having a huge atom nearby, which isn't like normal. And I think shaligrams, by being like a structure like this, they retain the energy, like the pathways and subtler energies still flow, so they behave like actively, like they're alive, with subtle flows that are a function of their structure. So like, because the structure is an eddy structure, it literally holds an eddy in subtle energy. That maybe isn't like the best thing to be around. I don't know. Maybe plants. I haven't really like experimented per se. I don't know. They're like kind of strict ways of how they're seen in Hinduism and treated, and since I'm like documenting my actions. Don't know if I. Holy shit! I'm a little high, by the way. A little lot high. That's. No, I just figured I'd be alone here. This one's got like a nucleus, super nucleus, cross currents that are. Okay, next. Colors of that one is interesting. This one resembles some I've seen before in its like shape, and the way this is, it's upward. Like it's slanted. There's literally an eddy in here trying to function. Maybe I'm thinking on this side as like a base, and it wasn't standing on this side. Something with this eddy was like pressuring surroundings because of the shape of the rock, literally. And its balance point, like they naturally have balance points based on how they formed, where they'll rest on certain faces smoothly and actually rest on them, and other faces are not good for resting on. This one looks like it has multiple. Some of them have multiple. Where maybe it was like over here, and like maybe even like shifting between the two, where the eddy forming internally was being pushed by this process. It seems to like go upward. Maybe it was tilting from this side onto this side, like it was on this side and the eddy grew. Maybe that kind of makes sense, that there is a small eddy forming in here and everything's fine. It's resting generally as we see it, but then the eddy grows and it starts physically pushing the resistance to the point where the rock actually tilts onto this face, at which point the eddy is running into this face and it pushes it up over here and like interacts with the stone in a weird way. Like modern science, I don't think they just kind of hand wave it. They're like, oh, well, the rock deformed. It's like, it didn't fucking deform. You just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We even see a little lobe in there, and then like a chakra region and kind of an opening where like a fractal eddy with ammonite was happening over here. It was recessive, so it's not like got all the features, but it has some of the features. This clearly going out and then over towards here. It's the Hindu term. They're known in scientific literature as shaligrams. So yes, but it's from Hindu. They're only found in Nepal, and they're composed of shale, pyrite, quartz, black shale. They're only found, let's see, in the Kali-Gandaki Valley in the Himalayas. They're nowhere else on Earth, only in this valley. Ammonites are elsewhere. Shaligrams are only from this valley. And the thing is this valley experienced such unique circumstances during flood processes that shaped the actual matrix material of the earth into these stones and documents the flood process. Like here is literally one of them, like a chakra, a lobe, and then over here we can kind of see like a lobe, little circle things, like a ammonite features. Over here, this is where they're said to originate in what's called Damodar Kund, which is literally shaligrams. It's fractally, so they're fractal. That's what's really, like, they're just amazing. I haven't really, like, been thinking about them. I've just been slowly accumulating more that I haven't talked about, and I just talk about like every shaligram I see almost, at least like in passing. Some of them like an entire episode where I'm just like looking at their features, because they're freaking insane. They're so incredible. Like, let me find like, for example, here, if it opens. So in this image, where there's chakras, lobe, and this is, these are considered crinoids, but they're, everything in this stone is like interactive, where it can be kind of traced in ways like this, where it's like current literally is flowing like this when the stone was being shaped. But the thing is, like I said earlier, the structure is still there, and subtler energies, like because it's essentially it shows the fractal nature of the universe, because these are like fractal galaxies, stars, the universe, but also like atoms, where I don't know, like all the connections, more so ammonites. Like atoms, where there's process unveiled in their like every nuance. And because they're sacred in Hinduism, they're generally retained in their original form. Like I've since looking at these stones, I've looked globally. Sorry, I'm really like struggling to talk sometimes. Like if my sentences are just like don't make any sense, it's because I'm kind of a little too high. Also this, oh my god, this I freaking looked all over this area. It's crazy. All the detail of the floodwaters that made shaligrams is retained in such high resolution. It's just like but let me find some more like standard shaligrams though. This is my backup. I got shaligrams on shaligrams, like a not that one. I forgot what I labeled things. This is the one I call disprove science. So for example, this one, it just has two ammonites that literally extend to one another and into one another, which this one's maybe arguable, but it's really not. I don't have it to like show it in different angles. This is all I have is this image, but it's one of many. But the thing is like the eddy balancely is across the largest width of the stone, where it's almost like it's sitting in a hammock kind of thing, where like the support structure of pressures is at these points, where it physically is able to hold an eddy atop it, and systematically where this happens. But then sometimes like there's room up here, and what's ultimately happening is current is flowing, water in large scale through that valley region before it even was like the Himalayas. It was flowing through the region, and it was taking all of the particles and making them fluid, but like together as one thing, but where it would like flow along margins and literally shape these stones to be like they are, but not just shape them, but move the grains. So like there was a flow of grains of the stone that literally went to this top region and then goes down through the base, through the chakras, literally down into a base region, and there's pressures all around. Oh, I was looking at that. Okay. There's pressures all around, like this stone's base, like it's down was this way. Down, like where as it's resting was its dominantly down face, and so there's pressures all around it, but it's able to push out as well in this region, especially to make the actual shape of the stone larger by the internal pressures, and essentially create this support structure for the eddy. And then the eddy starts to form as pressures are still flowing, and the currents are literally on the surface, creating all these striations, where I don't know if this one's got very good striations in this image, but creating striations. And it literally drains through the chakra and into the base, where then it kind of follows these pressures. So like it'll go this way. Let's say the path of least resistance is this way. Well, then it's like getting closer to a source of pressure, so then the path of least resistance changes, and essentially it flows around this base, filling a region with pressure as much as it can with the outside pressures, and ends up basically overflowing beyond this boundary and around the eddy, though, to the point where it goes atop the eddy. Not this image doesn't really show it very well. Another one, maybe I should go to that one, because it was like 2 away. This one really shows it. 63A. This one's in my documentary one, where it goes down through the chakras. Let's go to the bottom. Down through here into the base, where it then wraps around here, and then kind of like forms straight edges in like a phi ratio kind of way, where it's like getting more rigidly like a elbows and joints kind of thing. Like it's not just smooth, it's more like some kind of structure that's rolled up like a hand, I guess, with knuckles, like knuckled. And as it expands outward, because pressure is forcing it to eddy, but it's against a flat face generally, it goes over here, and then it goes over here, and then it has nowhere to go. So then it just wraps over top the eddy, and like a wave. Like it really has the nuances of it crashing over top this, and there's literally an eddy drilling in here as well. Of water type structure, mostly. It's drilling in here and like cutting in while this matrix is all moving around, eddying to down, going up, back down, eddying, up, back down, eddying. And sometimes it manages to get through and go back up, but the top is like slowing, like it's clogged. Like there's some kind of clog in the top, and that leads to the bottom doesn't know there's a clog in the top, so it just keeps cycling, goes down, goes over, goes up, and the bottom will get smaller, and the top will become a larger bulge. And at times it creates enough of a bulge, is my interpretation, to allow for another eddy to form atop it, like that one we're just looking at. Here, but this one formed kind of pointed towards the top. This one's really looks like a hand. There's that one. This one has no real ammonite features, just kind of like a smorgasbord of ammonite features. Nothing's really cohesively is an ammonite about it. It's just kind of pseudo ammonite, but clearly ammonite features. This one doesn't really make sense. It's got chakras over here, and then it's got suture patterns that show up over here, go down here, and then the suture pattern actually wraps around the back. I don't think I have it. Kind of just wave, like a wave. It smoothly goes around the back. But I don't want to get too distracted on Shaligrams I've looked at. Although it's been a while. It just turns into a wave. And then it reconnects at the other side, goes through, and then ripples through. Makes its way through like a meandering river, trying to make it through resistance, and then it makes it through resistance, follows a straight path around the back. Meanwhile, there's more like dendritic suture pattern stuff going on over here. Like, it doesn't really make sense. The whole shape of the stones don't really make sense in times like that, in terms of like this one. Because a freaking Danish clog or whatever. I don't know if those are Danish or if that's the right word, but okay, so that one, and it's got a bunch of little holes. This one we can even see structure in the hole. Little, almost like ammonite chunks, chambers. I don't know if it's an ammonite, but this one's got like a band around it kind of thing, although the striations seem almost like they're going this way, up and around, and like above to create this margin. It's just like elongated, so like an ammonite can form there, an ammonite there, and over time, current literally divides it, and then we just have an ammonite, or a shaligram, two shaligrams, like shaligrams that we look at that are one shaligram weren't always necessarily that way. Sometimes they were actually cut apart by recurrence that go across like a belt of the stone, which in this case, because these stones like do systematic things, it suggests that the stone like was maybe like bottom top, like it was probably more like an egg shape, and then one end sometimes it can drill through the egg and create a belemnite to create something like that. But other times it just drills in and actually makes an ammonite down there, and then sometimes an ammonite down there, and then those ammonites kind of start rippling outward energetically, which creates a margin of interaction. I'm not sure if that's why exactly that would happen, but where then it literally erodes and erodes and erodes until there are 2 shaligrams that then are free to physically push apart by their forces on one another to a stable position relative to other eddies in the surroundings, etc. But in this case, it didn't do that. It just kind of started to create a cut across the center. Lots of cool striations. Nothing too eventful in this one, just cool striations. Probably telling, it's hard to say, and a lot of blurry images. I don't really feel like thinking that one through too much. Striations. This tendency to be kind of like a chunk where it just abruptly starts and stops. And to abruptly start and stop into the matrix, like it flows as one, and then it opens between, like there's a gap between matrix, ammonite, but over here there's not. It just becomes one. I guess this is the other side where it does not become one. Maybe a little bit, but little pore, like a vent hole that was happening. Very common to see like little vent holes that are ultimately like why it's all happening. It's venting. But then it's venting into surrounding pressure, which then can push it back into itself. Again, kind of just eddying on the surface to create like a node at the top, and then a flat face. Node. Notice the node is not in above the chakras, like the direction of the chakras. It's not above that. It's actually above the chakras, like up down generally. Maybe not exactly above it, but it's hard to say. I'm just drawing it with my mouse. Let's see if I go through the chakras to the. I mean, that looks possible. I think I have a compass. Or, like, is this a compass? Oh my god, I can't fuck. No, whatever this thing is. Like, it's a compass, right? Protractor. I don't. Okay, up, down. Is not. Top. I mean, top is pretty much the top. Maybe there. It's going through the chakras. Mathematical. Gemstones is really mostly pyrite. There's cool pyrite. There's lots of really cool pyrite stuff. I've never seen gemstones or any kind of gems, although I've seen like weird specks that, because I look with like a microscope video camera sometimes, I've seen weird specks that made me wonder what that is, but scientific literature is scarce. It's super scarce and like broad. That's kind of crazy right there. And this seems pretty flat and straight on. Certainly could be camera angle related to. The stone itself looks super flat too. It's definitely opening like over here. Goes up. Yeah, the opening's like over here. So it's all definitely resting on this flat face here. This thing is definitely doing that thing. Okay. Here's a good example where it's creating like a belemnite type feature like this. Where the stone was kind of shaped like this and then has standard operating procedure. It does this. Let me find some examples. It's probably better to go the other way, but like that. Where this one's good because it shows the current flow kind of spiraling into it. And it really doesn't make sense for a belemnite. Like, according to modern science, there was a seashell belemnite that was here. But what does that have to do with this spiral out from it? And systematically, they like form just next to the long axis. I don't even know if I wonder if it's because of the Shaligram trade, like energetically. Like I don't know what the hell. I feel like I played with fire by moving them out of Nepal. Although I didn't personally, but I certainly moved them out of Nepal adjacent. Freaking. They're mostly in India. Most vendors internationally at least sell from India. They're also not supposed to be bought or sold, according to piranhas, or be damned to hell. That's my fate, maybe, I don't know. I haven't bought one in a while. I consider them priceless, so it's gotta, like, in my mind, it's more of a donation. I don't know if that counts. Okay, let's find some cool ones. I could go to the videos, but I know there's cool ones here too. I'm giving a lot of attention to these less exciting ones. Something going on here. So here's a case of like erosion as clear as day. I don't know. I guess chakras here, like the cutting between here. Sometimes it just cuts between like that. and then creating a lobe out this way. Possibly drilling it in over here. I don't know what to make of this. It looks like it's also creating chakra there to chain it, kind of thing. Possibly that way. So it's like it's had no dominant eddies, just a bunch of interacting things. This looks kind of like a swirled and like extended out that way, like an ammonite can do. Kind of a swirl and then like a brace. I gotta check what's up. Okay, it's still... It has quieted at Kamchatka. For now. I'm kind of... That's like the... One of the things I'm looking for to happen, though, before it awakens. Looks like a cat with like a spot. The way a cat's face can have a spot on it. Oh, it's really strong up down here. You can subtly see it there. In there, which is internal. Like, this is kind of seeing into the internal flows. And seeing that these surface striations don't really stop at the surface. Yeah, the most of them are similar in that they're probably also chosen that way for price. I'm not sure. There's certain I've seen them probably at least a foot diameter, where they still look like shaligrams. I mean, there's one, like, if you go large shaligrams sent to India or something, like, these are technically shaligrams, supposedly. I mean, I see subtle shaligram features. These are called shaligrams because they're from that valley. But they're kind of like clearly not the same, you know? Not the same, but interestingly, they do have features like real subtly in them. They probably even have prominent features. It's hard to say without like seeing it in person. But like ones that still are black, and I feel like I have so many pictures, it's hard to friggin'... I know there's a big one up here. I'm gonna need to go all the way. It's one of my favorites. It's so incredible. It's one of the coolest shaligrams for sure. I mean, they're all insane. Here's a big one. This one's probably at least 12 inches diameter. I don't know where the post is. It's from the same website I was just looking at. So, like, it's clearly different in terms of the way it manifests. But this one doesn't have any openings in it. This one does here. This one's probably at least 8 inches, like this way. Freaking so cool. It's got like a snake or dragon head. all these little streaks. It's freaking. It's just like, what is modern science doing? Over here, looking like a Ninja Turtle or something. Basically, so this is common with shaligrams, is they start from a larger ammonite that decays, like some piece of the ammonite is eroded out of the stone while it was forming like this, where like this piece could be eroded out, this piece, so they tend to like segment themselves in ways that show that they have the capacity to break down into smaller eddies and then form like new ammonites from them. Some of which really show it, like this one has like a, let me find an example. Like one of these things. That is maybe, I'm not sure. I think it is like odd. Like it should be pointing a little more towards this way than away. Which made me think maybe the whole of the stone is basically like a chunk like this out of a larger eddy that then got eroded again to have the dendrite structure or whatever. This thing still like over here, like it eroded like a actual chakras here, and pretty much removed all this, but some portion of it just retained enough of the original characteristics that it shows this whole shaligram is from a larger ammonite still. And the shape of the stone kind of suggests that it, just like the way it's blocky, the way it itself is blocky like this, the whole stone is like a block, suggestive it's from a larger ammonite in that regard too. So like, or not, a larger shaligram. And then they reach like literally mountains in size. Like if we look at if we look up here, Tarim Basin, some desert, Emission Desert or something, I forget. And then Chakra. So this is arguably a shaligram in and of itself. And then like I've found features like here that's not very visible on satellite, but more in magnetic anomalies. And then like the Colorado Plateau is an ammonite. So ammonites are like, they're all scales, it's fractal, but how in terms of shaligrams, it's probably the ones with features are probably about 2 feet, I imagine, is like the biggest out there that someone's, I mean, they gotta have the best ones in temples early on, and they're really not videotaped, I imagine. That there's a lot of shaligrams that are just inaccessible to consider. Can also go to like this guy's YouTube. He's got the Rudraksh Guru guy. This website is. Some of the shaligrams he shows are freaking huge. Like, here's a pretty big one. This one's in my video. It's not that big though. I mean, his finger is about half. Maybe a little less than half. It's pretty big, but not massive, massive. But that's like quite big for shaligrams. Abnormally big, I'd say. Freaking crazy. Oh no. There's this big one. There's this one. Get out of here, Ed. Kind of zoom out enough to see it. There we go. There we go. That one's pretty big. That's pretty big. The thing is they have to be small enough to retain that they have like the features. At some point they kind of just don't manifest the same. It becomes more mountains. Even though I've found like I was trying to find maybe here. Like this. This is where they're from generally, the general area they're from. Where it's got chakras, lobe, and then it's even got like tiers to the lobes. And then over here, it's like, so it's fractal, where it's got like an ammonite kind of structure, so sort of eroding. It's doing it also next to it in a layer, but way less along. But then that itself is part of a larger structure, where like it's not really a shaligram, but it's kind of a shaligram. And here's a opening in a shaligram. I don't know. This is one of them's literally called Chakra Lake. I think that one, maybe that one. And then kind of the way that is, the way this is. The way this one is, with even like openings off to the side with that thing over there. These pores. Another region where the waters flowing through are just documented in the stone. As like, yes, this happened, where it was literally deep enough to be doing things it can't do anymore. The flows were deep. Oh. Some kind of features out here. That one's massive though. This guy's got some that are probably huge too. Probably more in his videos. Oh my god, ads. Here's like a good array. Like this is a typical size. Typical size. That one's cool. It looks like a slipper. What the? Whoa, that one too. Oh my god. It's so hard to like. The thing about shaligrams is that at any moment, one can just be like unlike anything I've ever seen. Even though I've spent like years looking through these videos and all the shops online, just abruptly come across one that's just like out of this world different. I'm sure a lot of these are, but those look worth I hope he shows them more. That one looks curious. But they all have kind of semi-regular shapes. Like they don't really make sense for just water erosion in like a stream of the river. In terms of the mathematicalness that they portray, maybe this doesn't capture it all that well, but pretty good array. Oh, he's probably, this video is long enough, he's probably gonna show him closer. Oh, what? That one there. That one's cool. They're so cool. Like the way it's got this flat face. So common the way this is. Just its shape, very common. Here's one that looks like it's trying to cut in half. I wonder if there's chakras on both sides. That doesn't usually happen. That one's freaking. Dear Lord. To be a Shaligram like donation receiver. Oh my god. It's got the ammonite down there and then it's forming another one over here. Something's going on there. It just looks so cosmic the way that is. Like it's meant for space. Very common to just be like a chakra. I've seen a lot of these in his videos. A lot of these are in the shorts. Oh my god. Oh wow. I love it when they erode little windows into the side of the stone like that and not just the opening. Oh, it's so cool. This one looking like a conch or something shape. A very common shape too, where it has like almost like a rod sticking through, like a pointed end and kind of like a thicker end. And then the ammonite itself, though. That ammonite looks weird. Anomalies are so common. It's so common for there to be just anomalies that disprove all of science. Just literally one stone. Oh, this one disproves science too. This one disproves science too. It's just, it's so funny. I don't know about these ones, but it does certainly, like, just even the way that's centered on the top and just eroded into on the surface. That one eroded a little spore. That. Freaking ads. Okay, what do we got? 139. Oh, wow. This back thing is very common, but I've never, and it's got like an outer ring extending and then like a jet stream out of one chakra almost looking thing. But then this up here is actually paralleled by another there. That doesn't make any sense in terms of modern science. Because that parallel thing is in shaligrams all the time where ammonites are. Suggestive it's like a product of ammonites. That those parallel lines are, but they don't make any sense being like cutting into the ammonite. It's common for there to be ammonites intersecting other ammonites. I have at least one that is like fundamentally impossible. Oh my lord. And then the rings it had on the base, very common for it to have like eroded boundaries that kind of flow ring-like away from the actual opening. I'm probably loud. Friggin' way, I forgot my mic's like turned up and I'm probably loud. Loud but soft. Very common, doesn't make any sense for actual ammonite seashells, for seashells. Another one doing that back thing, or no, that's the same one. That's gotta be the same one. That's gotta be the same one. Yeah, it is. I literally can recognize shaligrams too. They're like individual people. It's so cool. They're like all unique in their own way. Very common for there to be like a drill hole that points at the opening where current just managed to get in and by eroding in like a vortex kind of way and drilling in though. This one's just super odd. So what is this? It's like above, it's directly above the chakra. And then goes off that way. Oh. This one's super crazy. Oh my. Sometimes I wish I could see them better in places like that. He's got a number. I've tried to contact him. It never works. I can't. He's literally not findable on WhatsApp. I'm like, for me, I don't know. I don't know how. Maybe because I'm US. What the fuck? I gotta look at that again. Opening here, but then another. It's moving up to another tier, but over here it's fully moved. It looks almost abnormal. Sometimes it's hard to say. Common thing again to just kind of form segments like bubbles inside a road. Bands of current kind of pinch off in the segment. Okay. Let's see. Like this one's crazy. The way it's got these. Just cutting through it. It looks almost like there's sutures in there. I can't tell. Very cool, but let's check out this one then. Better video. Can kind of see it drilling in here, creating a lobe out this way, and a lobe back the other way with a little counter drill hole starting there, maybe. Like, what the? To create lobes, but just recessively. It's really good camera footage of this. It's kind of hard to get relatively close up. With these stones. I guess this. It's just crazy. I know he posted some more anomalous ones, I guess. They're all anomalous. I'm kind of rusty. I haven't really been talking about or looking at Shaligrams much. I just kind of wanted to check them out and switch up gears a little bit. Oh my. Okay. Let's check out this one actually. in with that shape. That's just like non-random. Then this one's actually got chakra on the back. Ammonite here, chakra on the back. That really reaches to this thing's this edge. Like to this thing. It's like interacting from back there. There's like some kind of margin. Eroded over top, like preferentially eroding here and here. Like it doesn't really make sense. If there's a seashell in here, there's not really a reason for the erosion to not be generally flat across or generally rounded. Like it doesn't really make sense for erosion to preferentially happen above the shell in that specific place systematically. Where it's very systematic that they be eroded like that with this shape on both sides. Sometimes on neither side, but very common. I'm freaking tired. And then the surface kind of eroded across with like a striations across the ammonite's opening. This is systematic. Not every time again, but many times where it's eroded across the surface. To the point where the only argument modern science can make is that it's toe marks. Because they can't explain it otherwise, but it's literally not toe marks. Like, dude, you know, like, time will tell that that's not the truth. I mean, it's just fucking... I show this to scientists that like toe marks. Like, bro... It's too systematic and you're not really looking. They just don't look, they just kind of hand wave it, toe marks. Nah, dude. Think that's gonna fucking fly when push comes to shove? Only in this fucking silent back corner of the internet does that fly. Where they get to say nothing and be right. Like nothing changes when they deny to engage or to rebut. They can't rebut. Their only rebuttal is just kind of hand waving. Toe marks. Sometimes it's funny. They're so incredible that they like. Of course, that's what they're gonna say. Like one of these, the vendor, he didn't personally know who did it, but he was convinced they were toe marks even. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of like this one. It's like, okay, maybe this one's toe marks, but I don't know. It's right at the chakras, which is common, and they don't all look so ridiculously obviously like a toe marks. And I was like, yes, I must have this one. He wouldn't let me have it. I had to choose another one. He's like, oh, it's gonna break because someone drilled it. I'm like, I don't know that they drilled it though. Like, This one looks like they drilled it, but I would like to see it closer. Because there's ones that just like can't be drilled. The one that looks so blatantly like it has to be drilled makes me really want to look at it. Like, dudes, these things are happening. Like this, where it just kind of drills. And then it drills off the edge even, and has these little nooks where it like got caught a bit and almost like scooping up ice cream. Like, okay, I need to take this ice cream away and then scoop again. Just pass it on through, just straight on through, straight on through. They would say some of these are just fossils, but pass it on through over here, and then, oop, right off the edge, which is where above the top of the ammonite, where it tends to be, but in this case, there's not, like, a void where it can just go around the mound on top. There's more stone, and it went over it and eroded it quite strongly. This one structurally cannot be drilled. Like, it's got, it extends to this thing up here. It's not really limited to the drill hole. It smoothly extends out to here. It drills into what's really happening is current is drilling into the stone, literally in an eddy, getting in and then eddying within the stone, but not actually erasing the details of how it entered, where a lot of times it erases the details or it doesn't do it so pronounced, where it manages to form the eddy more with chakras like here, so it just doesn't have to drill in so much. Other times it kind of goes more like this along the surface, just to slightly getting in enough to kind of catch an eddy. And here's some more where it just like catches, slides along, catch, slide over here, catch, catch, catch. And this one it's drilled, but it's like already broken open. This one, it was drilling here, and then shifted over and made this ammonite. Drilling in here, drilling in here, drilling in here, and drilling in here. This has those like ripples over the top like that other one. And drilling in here, like this one's crazy. It seems at a glance that surely someone did this, says modern science. But like, what were they doing? What were they doing? They're like, well, they were trying to add value. It's like, dude, these are sacred stones. They don't do that shit. Like, yes, they etch them like gods. Yes, they make fakes. Yes, they modify some in some ways. But why would they modify them by drilling it like this? It's too epic and perfect of a drill. It even has like a splashing aspect over here that doesn't necessarily come into vision in other shaligrams and other ammonites, because it's a little off center maybe, where the current's going over here and it's just getting like forced away that way because it's rigid back here, just kind of forcing it over that way in a manner that actually makes it look like it's like spraying that way a little more than usual in ammonites. It even erodes up here. It does it more than one like circle. It's almost like slipping, widens it. Like, why would they erode something like this to make it look like this? This thing. What are they doing? It doesn't make any sense, really. Well, the argument would be, well, to see inside, but they can already see inside. What the fuck are you talking about? This one they can already see inside, like they didn't drill over here, so they could have seen inside. Maybe they removed some material here, if it happened. But like they could have seen inside, so why are they drilling this one? Like there's so many questions. Here's a drill going across there. Drill through there at the end of the ammonite, like a resistance point, and then another ammonite, and then some like oddity over here that doesn't really match with this one. This one abruptly breaks into smaller ones, it looks like. Boundary, that doesn't really make sense with that one. Drilled through, drilling in there, drilling through here like a circle, but it's forming an ammonite out of the stone. Drilling in here some more. This one slightly got it. Here. Where it's not even on the bottom though. It's like, what did they miss here? They didn't do this side. They perfectly missed this while doing all this. It even like goes up, off. They're probably not well spaced. They certainly are not in ones that I've looked closer at. This one, I don't know without looking at the larger picture. I don't feel like it. Okay. This drilling in here, creating even like bars of a or arms of a galaxy. Okay. Common thing. Just friggin' steamroll through some of these. Oddities, oddity. Oddities where it was forming an ammonite, but I wasn't quite sure how to like extend the eddy. So it kind of went this way. I was like, you know, this way is better, and was extending it that way. And on this side, it looks like it did the opposite, where it went this way and it ran into resistance, so it ended up actually shorting across here. While going down this way and running into resistance. Cool striations. I feel like this is real. Part of the stone, whatever's going on there. Whatever's going on the stone, I've never really seen. They don't look like striations, but kind of like it, and that's cool. Lots of shapes on the stone that look almost like they could be from like a sticker or something, but they're not sticker shaped. They look like it's on the stone, but it's so weird. Bigger striations that could, like, with enough features and bend to it, begin to form like a chakra shape. Same here, like an opening with chakras low about that way, but it's recessive to the larger scale stuff going on. It's probably influencing it too much, so it couldn't like extend down into the stone very well. common for them to be like this too, where they're almost like coins with like a sloped ammonite in the opening on the top. Slash bottom, bottom top. What's going on? Which way are you even going here, Ammonite? Modern science to explain this stuff just inserts. It's like fragment, broken piece of shell, broken piece of shell. Never mind that both of these have these little freaking things on them, because we're not paying attention to that. We're just like inserting an answer and then patting ourselves on the back. That's what modern science is about. It doesn't even notice that this is like do 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 do, and then it has this little thing, and then space, but like sort of there. We can kind of see like there, and then a bit down there, and then hard to see when I start drawing on it. But then up, down, up. And then freaking does the diamond thing at the front. Vajra Kita. Diamond what? Diamond worm. Vajra, that's crazy. It's got like a freaking diamond shape. I wasn't really intending to link it to Vajra Kita. But Hindu texts say that Vajrakita is a mythological adamantine or thunderbolt worm in Hindu tradition that carves holes and spirals into shaligrams. Which is basically saying water currents that were so highly energetic that they actually did these things that we're talking about. And I feel like diamond comes up. Diamond hard tooth of a creature. Yeah, the teeth of the Vajrakita are said to be harder or as hard as diamond. I can't remember. Vajra means diamond or thunderbolt, so all this adamantine. Diamond is certainly related, so that there is like a diamond shape. It's kind of cool on this worm-like thing, back to back, like one after another. Some random features there. And then a much more defined section that doesn't seem to really quite make sense with the other one. I'm not sure. It's hard to say if it like smoothly is part of this. I just don't think so. At least not the way it abruptly terminates over here. Okay, next. Ooh. Again with these, like, this is very common for there to be cross current type things that extend to, like, the edge. To be related to the ammonite, this might be related to something, it's hard to say. Where the positions of the ammonite. This also looks kind of like it swirls. It has like a section where it got kind of like a pole and then swirling away from the pole. Maybe not so well defined. It almost looks like it's trying to form an ammonite actually. Like chambers. But like these cross current things, which they were, did influence the positions and shapes and structures. In this type of manner, like it mattered. It wasn't like it just later was injected into it, like a intrusion or something. It was simultaneous. Lots of surface striations, nothing all that abnormal, except I think this like weirdly narrows. It weirdly narrows. That does do that, where it was probably a smaller shape, like the lobe, and then it tried to extend, and I guess it only eroded in there to a point where it looks like it might even have tried to make like chakra there. I don't know. I'm not sure. In my head, it does not like make sense, but maybe there's some seashell explanation in terms of like how the shapes even could be doing this. Because it looks kind of like it shouldn't slope back. Like it should go out. It should go out further. Maybe not as far as this one, but it should be more of this shape. And it's just not. Some striations that way, some anomalous things going on for sure. Okay, anyway, next one. Little poke holes. Little holes poked. It's like shaligrams, one after another. Oh my god, that's how these things are. Just looking at this image or whatever it was, this looks a little boring like all the others. Everything just hanging out, nothing all that different. And then and then this face, like, dear God. Chakra, and this is very common. This shape to have like a chakra, and then like a divide. I don't know if the ammonite's on this half. There's that. And then the way it like wraps up. Just mathematically. It's almost like it's eroding down time and time again, but has like a previous level of the ammonite that's just eroding below and to like strip away another level, and in so doing it's creating new like amount of these lines of the ribs. Super cool. I love the way the pyrite is. Okay. This one, like, it's segmented. Oh my god. I mean, maybe it's the chambers of the ammonite. That's like partly there. But like, dear God. The way this is, it's not very normal looking. Well, that's because of the erosion into it. Just happenstance. Something like this. Ignoring that it doesn't really do that itself. Can become something like this by just like the angle of erosion along it. I guess, but I mean, it's certainly possible, but something more is going on with that. Okay. Common shape for shaligrams, really. Well, not that common, but I've seen it. This general shape. I guess that's about all we get. Just an eddy. Boop. Held in the matrix. I guess. I don't know. Something where it's held between the top and bottom. The end. Trying to form one of the terminals. Actually managing to. Flowing through. Reaching over there, but not quite as well. Okay. Pardon my lazy explanations on some of these. Bunch of surface features. Something's up. Almost like it's extending. Like over here we see little ripples. Over here we really see something that's mimicking this shape, really. And then there, kind of. And it just doesn't continue to follow it, but it also ends here. Like the shape where it was unable to form it further with like a cohesiveness, although I guess maybe it has a little path there and over there, and almost looks like it's trying to be there. But like continuing in the energy to create effects all the way around too. Just only forming this ammonite shape, though. So cool. That chakra is so cool. Just like gold. I think I'm gonna stop when I bum rush through these. I shouldn't even. This one's got actually a super cool feature right there. This. All that going on. Boundaries kind of forming between like chamber-esque things. But then over here, which typically is a portion, like a flat face like this of the ammonite. I'm a little confused what we're even looking at. Typically, when something's like this, it's part of the ammonite, but it doesn't typically have these ribs forming. I don't know where that is. Oh, it must be back here. Yeah, essentially it's the back side of the ammonite, but still part of the ammonite. Like, as part of it, it must be like back there. But the striations just like actually form structure. currents managed to form more than just striations there. What the frick? Looks like this, just like the others. That kind of just look like a single ammonite in the stone. Some curious boundaries formed. Oh yeah, I got a freaking shower. Oh shit. Erosion is kind of shaping it. And then it turns, it literally freaking bends. It's like pressure over here, it's going this way. But there's pressure, so it just boop, bends away from that thing. It's hard to say if that's what's happening in these images. It looks like it though. Like eddy here. It's literally, it's becoming parallel with, even though it was not. Makes perfect sense. This structure continues over, and then there's ribs up this way. And then on the same stone, a similar feature happens. What are the odds? Yeah, that's how seashells are. They just like to kind of extend themselves in the matrix that they're captured in to be directly adjacent. Oh my god, wait, that one. That one has two. It's the same thing. It's just this one, and then it's there. Which means this one, which has this lobe, like matrix material in it, extends outward. It extends to the freaking other one. Not fossils, that's for sure. Well, fossils in that they're dug up, maybe. And that the word means dug up. Let's go to 1. Crazy. This one's crazy. I gotta be through this freaking playlist, aren't I? Just say something. Continental drift. Okay. I'm kind of passing out. I think I'm gonna get out of here. I think I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, oh my god. This boundary goes to the chakra and then straightens out with the chakra on this side. Weird thing there. And then it's over here, these bends. Oh my. Just cut across the stone throughout it and then kind of merge into the striations there. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. Very cool Shaligram. Very cool Shaligram. Cool Shaligram. Oh fuck, I clicked another one. Now I found the cooler ones. Oh, that's so cool. This is like freaking pyrite capped chakra. It's about that time when Kamchatka might have had another earthquake. Nope. It's quiet. Last one at Kamchatka on here. It was like 9 hours ago. They've all moved over here entirely. When they were mostly up here. Oh my god, and they got one abutting this thing. One abutting this thing. It's so mathematically... Some that were here. Cluster there. I feel like something's about to happen. Something is about to happen. I don't know. I'm like rooting for a friggin' 9 or something kind of thing. I'm like, I called it because I'm really, it looks like it's about to happen. I don't know, all sorts of reasons that are like, even though it seems like it quieted and was losing energy, the past few days made me say, wait a minute. Maybe not. Okay, okay. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Good to chat there. U.S. Liberty, never forget never forget USS Liberty, guys. Here, let's look it up. Let's remind people what happened. What did happen, anyway? Israeli Air Force, Air and Naval Forces attacked the U.S. Navy. Oh yeah, that's right. Israeli? It should probably say Babylonian, honestly. Heinous. Alright. Peace out. Peace out, peace out.